Microphone check, microphone checker. That's right. That's right. It's your boy DJ Mad Scientist, and I'm here for another week. What? What? And only 3 minutes late. For those who are listening on the radio, you're probably thinking you're not late. Okay, yes, you're right. If you're listening to this on the radio on Power 975 LA on the I Global Radio app, I am not late. You're correct because this is pre-recorded and they probably are putting this out on time. But if you have me on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, the Mad Scientist YouTube channel, and you're probably thinking, well, good Lord, man, stop being late. And that's okay. I'll get it. I'll get it together. Okay. The biggest thing I have to do when I'm preparing for this is, it's an hour, it's about 50, 55 to 59 minutes of talk. And so you want to organize everything and make sure that, you have everything that you're going to say and how you're going to say it and how you're going to present the information. And then you got to be entertaining. Okay. Then you got to be entertaining because no good having all this really great information and then you can't entertain. So, um, yeah. So sometimes it takes a little time to get prepared. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this intro so that everyone knows what's going on. Um, hey, what's up? This is Mad Scientist, DJ Mad Scientist on the all new Power 97.5 LA. Today we are just talking music, where we bring you vital information about music production, promotion, and distribution every week right here. Right here, where? Well, we on the iGlobal Radio app. Download the app from your favorite app store or go to the website, iglobalradio.com. That's iglobalradio.com. I would suggest it's a really great app. I would suggest you go ahead and download the app. It's really, really great. You take it with you. That way, it's right there on your phone. You can connect your phone to your car, connect your phone to a boombox, and that way, no matter where you go, whether you're jogging on the beach or just chilling on the beach, or if you're driving to Vegas, okay, you got me right there. Okay, you don't have to worry about like, oh, am I going to hear this week's episode of Just Talking Music with DJ Mad Scientist? Nah, you're not going to miss out. So you can go to Amazon, you can go to Apple, you can go to Google Play, download the app, and you're good to go. You got it. All right. That being said, over the past 4 weeks, we talked about how to use social media in order to bring awareness to yourself, your brand, your music, your events, right? And we went over TikTok, we went over Instagram, we went over YouTube, right? And so if you want to see what I said in those past weeks, just go to my YouTube channel and you can see the past videos. Okay, I'm not gonna go over it again, but I just want to mention that today is I'm going to kind of put it all together and explain to everyone how I generally make money using all these platforms. Okay. And so because I think it's important, I thought about it last week. It's one thing you go to YouTube and you have a lot of people telling you how to use these different platforms, and a lot of times just having the right title is going to get you views, going to get you clicks, going to get you attention. Okay, and I'll look at a lot of these. I'll look at a lot of these videos, and the one thing that I'm always saying is, okay, I understand what you're saying, and I can hear what you're saying, and I can, intellectually, or academically get what you're saying. But how do I use what you're saying in order for me to make money? And so For me, I've been using social media since 2008, but it's taken me a long time to figure out how to make money, by using um, these platforms. I mean, it's one thing to just post, but what are you going to post that will get people's attention? And then once you start knowing what you're going to post, how does that one post, or how does that stream, or how does that reel get people to come in and say, okay, I'm going to spend money with you. Okay, either as an artist, singer, rapper, DJ, whatever you decide to do, how do you get people to spend money? Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't figured out all the ways. My biggest problem right now is I don't know how to get people to buy my merch, right? So I'm learning. But what I am really, really good at is getting people to come out to my events, okay, and pay attention to my music. And so I'm really, really good at that. Not so good at getting people to buy merch. Now, I'm going to start implementing some things to make that happen. Some things that I've seen that you know could be very helpful. Okay. One of the things that I started doing is during these streams, I would during these streams on YouTube, and even on the radio, I talk about my events. Okay. So throughout this hour, I will talk about my events. Okay. And another thing that I do is I'm going to start showing the actual merch. Okay. So if you see this on YouTube, then you'll see the actual merch and you can decide, you know, do I want to buy it or not? Now, another thing that I'm going to have to start doing is actually wearing my merch. I have my favorite brands that I like, and over the years, but my managers told me that, listen, you've got to become your own favorite brand, or no one else will like your brand. If you don't like your brand, if you don't wear your brand, who else is going to wear your brand? And that's my manager's advice to me. Okay, so I'm passing that on. But let's go ahead and get into what we're actually here talking about, which is how I make my money. Now, I'm going to I like to give some background information first. Okay. We're going to talk about three case studies. We're going to talk about the clips and their rollout. We're going to talk about um, Little Yachty. Everyone knows what happened with Little Yachty. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about Tyler, okay, the Afrobeat singer, right? The reason why I feel like it's important to talk about him is because we now have examples of what works, what does not work, what maybe get attention, right? But it's negative attention and will actually not work. And then we have a case study where someone actually got no attention, okay, because of how they handled their previous rollout. Okay. So let's first talk about the clips. And I love talking about the clips because I think what they showed with their latest rollout, for their new album, Let God Sort Them Out, what they showed the world is, when I say the world, I mean hip hop world, is that you don't have to be a shock jock in order to get attention um, for your product or for your whatever you're trying to, sell. Okay. In this case, they were trying to sell an album. You don't have to go shock jock. And what they did is they understood who they are as artists. So they understood what people like about them. And they also understood what people don't like about them. Right. I was not a fan of the clips prior to this project. I mean, obviously I played the hits, you know, um, but I played the hits. I never really sat down and listened to them as a consumer, right? As a fan. I am now a fan of the clips. I listen to that album like all the time, all the way through from the beginning to the end. I don't do any skips. I don't even the God Let God Sort Them Out is not really a collection of songs to me. It's more an album experience. It's a musical experience that I enjoy. And it's not that long. So I can go to the gym, listen to them. And by the time I'm done working out at the gym, okay, they're done. Or I can go walk because I like to walk. By the time, definitely, but halfway at my halfway point, I've heard the whole album, and I can decide at that point if I'm gonna listen to them again on the way back. So that's how much I enjoy the album. Now, how did that come around? Number one, they understood who they are. They understood what people, their strengths and their weaknesses. They know that people were like, hey, you guys are only thing you guys talk about is selling, cocaine, selling rock. That was my criticism of them. They didn't back down because they understood who their core audience was. They didn't say, let's go get, it's been 15 years since we put out an album. Let's go get new producer. No, they stuck with Pharrell. That's who their producer is, it's how they got their fan base, and that's how they're gonna maintain their fan base. Okay. And then they could have said, well, this on this album, we're not gonna talk about, you know, um, cocaine or anything like that. We're gonna change it up because Pharrell is a very dynamic producer. He could do dance stuff. Let's do club stuff, or let's do other kind of music, right? Nah, they stuck with who they were because they understood their core fans like who they are. And they're just going to have to win over people like myself, but they're going to be who they are. Now, the incredible thing about, this whole album is yes, they had Pusha T on there and he's polarizing. He's going to get attention. They also had Kendrick Lamar on there. He the biggest artist, the biggest hip hop artist on the planet right now. Okay. You would think having Pusha T and Kendrick would be the driving force, but in actuality, the driving force on that album is Malice and Tyler the Creator. They're the ones that are getting most of the attention and accolades, and neither one of them are shocky. That neither one of them are trying to say something that just going to get your attention. They're just being who they naturally are. The reason why I keep mentioning that is for the artists that are still haven't gotten to, to the point where you are famous or notorious, right? One of the key things you're going to have to learn to do is to know who you are as an artist. Now, who you are may encompass a lot of different aspects, but as long as you know who you are, then it allows you to present yourself authentically. And that's what people like is the authentic artist. So if we look at someone like a Tyler who has a project that's out and it sold like 3,700 um, copies the first week. Now, this is the person who Afrobeat South America has the world famous hit Water. I don't care how many what she puts out. There's no way that it should not have no attention and no sales. It's impossible after that song, Water. Just off curiosity, she should have. I mean, Lil Wayne released a project this past year, and he sold first week 110,000. Now he's Lil Wayne, but people hated it. People hated the project. They didn't like it, and but he had a lot of people just out of curiosity. He had a lot of sales. She didn't even have curiosity, primarily because people felt like she is not an authentic artist. She's not being authentic. She's trying to figure out what we like in an artist and in trying to like fit herself into that mold. And what I'm saying to you is people are not going to always agree with you. I don't agree with the clips, but here's the deal. They are who they are. And once they presented the argument to me, I was willing to listen. Now, what got me into it was the fact that they had Kendrick Lamar on the project. Okay, so now you got my attention. And then I also like Pharrell as a producer. So I already knew that project was going to be quality. Okay. And I knew that I'm gonna at least listen to one of those songs. But what ended up happening is because of their positive rollout, when I say positive, I don't mean like they just talk positivity. What I'm saying is because they weren't looking for the shock, they were just being them authentic self and saying, let me just show you who I am. And you make a decision whether or not you like me or not. Because they did that, I got a chance to listen to the entire album without all the foolishness and the selfishness and the craziness, and I made a decision. I like this album. Whereas Tyler, who is inauthentic or trying to just cater to what do you like? What do you like? Okay, if you like jumping unicorns, now I'm just gonna try to be a jumping unicorn. We don't we could say whatever we want to about Tyler, but the one thing we can't say is this is who she is. We can't say this is who Tyler is because I honestly don't know. I don't know who she is. I know where she's from. I know that she can dance. She's a pretty little girl. But outside of that, I'm from LA. Pretty little girls, well, I shouldn't say little girls. I should say pretty women, okay, are everywhere in LA. So just being pretty is not going to get my attention. If I want to see pretty, I just go to the club that I'm going to tonight. Okay. So just being pretty is not enough. If you want me to be into you, then you've got to like show me who you really are, your authentic self. So the case study that we're looking at is Tyler versus the Clips. Tyler was inauthentic, the Clips was authentic. Okay. Now, the next example we're going to talk about is Little Yachty. Little Yachty gets on a stream. Okay. And he decides that he wants to make a rap referencing George Floyd. Okay. Now, I will tell you this Little Yachty, whether you like him or not, does not have does not have the reputation for being shocky. Okay. He's going to be simple, plain. He's going to do what he does. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Okay. And at the same time, he does not really have a reputation for being on streams. I mean, yeah, but that's not the overall. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't do it at all. I'm just saying it's not his overall thing. He's not streaming all the time. He probably just feels like I want to roll out. Let me go on some streams. Again, that being who you are you trying to be? So he says the George Floyd line, which I'm not going to repeat, but he references George Floyd. And at the end of the day, the shock of it backfires. Now people who probably would have listened to him just because Little Yachty's always around. He's not a bad person. Let me just hear what he has to say. And they probably would have said, I still don't like it. Now it's a matter of not only are you bad as a rapper, but you're a bad person. We don't like you as a person because at the end of the day, you have somebody, you've offended a group of people who, for the most part, people like Steven Jackson. Okay. We don't always agree with Steven Jackson, but we like the fact that he's authentic. Steven Jackson has so much cultural cachet simply because he is who he is. He doesn't lie to us. He's authentic. And at the end of the day, he's going to be who he is. If you disagree with him, that's fine. But he's going to be who he is. So now you've offended him. You've offended people nationally. You've offended people regionally. And so now the talk is not only are you a bad rapper, you have Steven Jackson telling everyone you're a bad rapper and a bad person. And that's what you get when you start talking about I'm going to do shock things in order to get attention. Okay? Whereas if Lil Yachty just dropped a single without the shock value, and it was just the normal Little Yachty lyrics, people probably would have listened to it more just to say, I don't like Little Yachty lyrics, which is fine, but they won't be saying you're a bad person at the same time. You won't have someone who has one of the largest platforms, okay? Um, Steven Jackson has a huge platform, and you gave this man the opportunity to use his platform to say you're a bad person. And as a member of the Black American the Black American community, yeah, George Floyd is one of those situations where you know it's still a sore topic. I don't think it's ever going to be a situation where it's okay to talk about George Floyd in any kind of way other than rest in peace, rest in power, you know, hopefully his family, can find peace and rest, you know, while they're here. Okay. Period. That's it. There is not going to be a situation where George Floyd can become a pun, a punchline, or anything. Okay. I don't even feel comfortable really talking about it just because it makes me sad at this point, just remembering that situation and all the people that's involved with it. It just gets me emotional. So, but I wanted to bring that up simply because I want to really illustrate to you as an artist, you don't have to be stocky in order to get people's attention. And we now have an example because more than likely that Let God Sort 'Em Out album is going to win Grammy honors. I don't know if it's going to be song, album, just in hip hop, just overall, okay, music period, but it's going to win. It's selling. They'll be able to tour on that record for years, at least 5 years. Okay. They may not decide to tour, but they can tour on that music on just that one album. They can tour for at least 5 years. They're currently touring on that album right now, and the reviews are incredible. And there's nothing shocky, even with Kendrick Lamar. There's nothing on that album about Drake. There's nothing on that album that's like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. It's just really good music. And like I said, what people like about that album is Malice, who is the least controversial hip hop artist on that album. Okay. And secondly, they like Tyler, the creator, who he's just rapping. He's just doing the hip hop verse, and people love it. So if there's anything you can get from this first segment, is just be yourself, be authentic, let people see who you are, and then they're going to tell you via social media analytics, which we're going to get into on mine. I'm actually show you my current analytics. They're going to tell you what they like about you, and you'll be able to double down on what they like. Okay. Now, before we get into the next segment, I want to talk about one of our sponsors. What's one of our sponsors? Me. Okay. All right, y'all, listen up. We got the Mad Scientist Friday Night Hype. That's every Friday night at Agave Ultra Lounge in downtown Long Beach. From 10 p.m. until 2 a.m., the hottest hip hop, R&B, reggaeton, and party vibes. That's every Friday night at Agave Ultra Lounge in downtown Long Beach. Get in free before 11 on the guest list at www.agaveultralounge.com. That's the Mad Scientist Friday Night Hype every Friday night at Agave Ultra Lounge in downtown Long Beach. Okay. All right. Got to talk about my sponsorships. But more importantly, I want to talk about, I wanted to show you an example of how I'm able to make money. And that's how I make money. Okay. Is if I were to say how I make the most money is from actual gigs. Okay. Um, I have events. I have a Taco Tuesday event. I have a Friday night hype, and I have a Saturday brunch. I make the most money on my Saturday brunch. Um, I make the least money on Friday hype, and I make good money on my Taco Tuesday. And what I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to show you guys. I'm gonna use my YouTube channel as I'm gonna use my YouTube channel as a way to kind of like show you how you can start generating money using social media. Okay. Now, and I'm showing you how I make my money. I'm not saying IG you can't. Okay. I'm not saying you can't on TikTok. I'm just showing you how I make my money. Okay. That way, you can, mimic these ways or learn from these ways or disagree with it. Put things into the comment, like, subscribe, or dislike, subscribe, put comments, and we can kind of interact with each other. Okay. You can ask questions. Feel free to ask questions. I'm always going to answer my comments, even the people who say, "Oh, I like your mixes," right? I will say thank you. Okay. So it's actually me. It's not a social media person. This is me. So I'm just like you guys. So anyway, this channel, this is my current YouTube channel, and I'm actually showing you the backside of it. Okay. Um, I started off with like 200 subscribers this year. I'm now up to 6,738. What that means is that now I can monetize, okay, off of ads, okay? And so far, I've made an estimated $1.18. So now you can actually see from 42,000 views, um, three, 3,200 3,200 watch hours. I've generated $1.18. Okay, that's what I've generated. Okay. I can also ask people to join. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating content that is going to be only for people who join. Okay. I've already set up um, my join rates. I went with the basic 199. Okay. It's just $2. You can join. And what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to create 4-hour mixes for my brunch because that's what I'm finding that people like to hear from me is that brunch vibe. Okay. And then I'm going to make, a couple of 4-hour mixes for nightclub. Okay. So people have parties and they're at home and they can't really get a DJ, but it's like, oh, you know what? We can go to DJ Mad Scientist because, and just pay $2 and we get him to mix for us, right? Or, we're gonna Saturday and I'm gonna have some friends over. We want that brunch vibe. Okay. Instead of, us paying him what I normally charge, just $2, right? And you get me doing your Saturday brunch vibe. Okay. I'm also gonna do, different kind of mixes so that people who join, they just pay $2, 199, $2, and they get those 4-hour mixes. And it's like, oh wow, that's great. Okay. So that's one way that that's another way that I'm making money. So I'm making money off of ads. I'm going to make money off of joining. Okay. And what this also is showing me is what do people like about me, right? Now, I'm actually going to show you my streaming numbers. I don't have huge streaming numbers yet, so I don't mind sharing my small little streaming numbers. But more importantly, what it's doing is it's telling me what people like. Now, for me, let's go to my channel. Here's my channel. On my channel, I have me, my face, okay? And I have my party mixes, okay? So I have different party mixes. I have, 90s, 2000s, R&B, hip hop, reggae, and reggaeton, right? I have my hot topics. I have my music marketing, okay, which is what you're looking at right now. And now I have my shorts. I also have music videos that I produced. I also have my music playlist. So I've released 5 projects. So I have the playlist on here. I have lyric videos. I have visualizers. I can look on the back end and I can say, what are people liking? Now, if you ask me what I like to do, I wish I could just do music videos. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I wish I could just do music videos, and I wish people would just love my music videos. Okay. Um, but from what I'm seeing from my analytics, let's go to my analytics. What people actually like are my DJ mixes. Now you say right here, like, yeah, but your music video has 30,000 views. So maybe they'd like just do more music videos. That's from promotion. And you can go to last week's video where I've explained promotion. But just off of non-promotion, generically, they like my 2000s and 90s mixes. This is all generic. I did a little bit of promotion, but this is mostly generic. This is how my channel blew up. Somebody found my 90s 2000 mix, and I went from like 200 to 600 on its own. Okay. And I just said, okay, I wish they would like my music, but, and I wish they would like my hip hop music, my hip hop DJ, but that's not what they're saying that they like. They like my 90s and 2000s. And that's okay because I like doing that kind of music. So it's not like I'm doing something that I don't want to do. I like it. Every Friday night, that's what I play. I'm the opening DJ and I go 90s and 2000s, all the hits. And I love doing it because I don't have to worry about, oh, don't play that Drake song, or oh, don't play that Kendrick song because the closer has to play that. Now I can play everything that's late 90s, early 2000s. There's nothing I can't play. And so I like that. Okay. And it's the most popular time at the club. I get a lot of people to come in. Okay. Now, if I were to go what they don't like, let's go down to the bottom. You guys don't like the marketing videos. Now you're probably thinking, like, well, why are you still doing it, mad scientist? Well, I don't do it for the views and the likes. I do it because, number one, this is how, I'm a college educated person and I believe, each one teach one. Okay. So I'm willing to do these for an hour, on Friday nights, and then, an hour on a Saturday, just as my way of giving back. But I always tell everybody, I'm not a how-to person. I'm not one of those people that want to teach. Okay. Um, I just don't. This is not my thing. Okay. So, and that's okay with me. Okay. What I like to do is DJ. Now, what I just discovered is you guys actually like um my little shorts. So I'm gonna start doing more shorts. Okay. Because they're shorter. Okay. And you guys will look at those as opposed to a whole hour of me talking about how I accomplish all this. Okay. I kind of wanted to show you the analytics, and this will show you that people are actually actively listening. And usually on the weekends, that's where the 90s and 2000s R&B mixes, that's when they start to explode. Okay. And so my point I want to make to you in showing you all of this is, first and foremost, show the audience who you are. Show them who you are, who you really are. I don't think Little Yachty, in fact, Little Yachty's been around so long, and he was a writer for the City Girls, and I really liked the City Girls, right? I really liked them. I like I like the City Girls. I was a fan of City Girls, especially when Southside is doing their music and when Lil Yachty is writing their lyrics. Okay, I like that as a collective group. So I feel like I don't know Lil Yachty, but I feel like this situation that he's in now is very foreign to his personality. I'm already used to people saying I don't like his lyrics, but I'm not used to people saying he's a bad person. Okay. I don't feel like he's a bad person. Okay. I feel like he made a bad decision. In fact, he called Steven Jackson. Like it didn't take like a week. It took a couple hours for him to call and apologize. And him and Steven Jackson came to an understanding. Steven Jackson took down the video where he said a lot of things about Little Yachty. He took that video down, and Steven Jackson said, "I'm not doing any interviews about this. We're not going to talk about this. We're going to move on." And that just lets me know that Little Yachty is a good person because he didn't run from it. He didn't say like he didn't double down on it. He was like he recognized, "Oh wow, I hurt someone trying to do something that I normally don't do." Little Yachty is not the controversial guy, right? He's not gonna you're not gonna hear Little Yachty went to jail. That's not Little Yachty. The only thing you'll hear is Little Yachty dropped the song again and we don't like it. And now it's to the point where it's just who he is, right? You're gonna drop a song, some people are gonna like it, some people don't. But this Little Yachty situation is very foreign. So the point I want to make is, and I'm not trying to like say anything negative about him as a person. I think he's a good kid. Okay. Little Yachty is a good kid. But what I want to do is just illustrate to you, listen, you don't have to be something that you're not. You can be yourself. Malice with the clips. He was himself. He doesn't like to cuss. He didn't curse on this album. So you could do a whole hip hop album and not curse and be considered the best part of that album? The answer is yes. You don't have to curse. I don't, whenever I, make raps, I go out of my way to make sure that the women in my stories are always way smarter than me, right? They're way better people than me. And most importantly, I don't call them derogatory names. I go out of my way because at the end of the day, I throw parties and most of my clientele are women. And I don't want them to feel like I'm disrespecting them by going and doing something on an album or a song that I would not do to their face. Okay. When I do my Saturday brunches, I don't call them B words or any other derogatory terms to their face. So then I can't say, well, let me just put it on a record behind their back. I'm going to be who I am, authentically me. And then you guys will tell me what it is that you like about authentically me. So from what I see here, based upon my analytics, okay, and you guys are seeing the analytics in real time. I'm not hiding anything. You guys are saying, Norman, we like, nah, mad scientists, we like you as a DJ, okay? We like you as a DJ, especially when you're doing your 90s and 2000 mixes. That's what they like. Okay. They know that I do the other stuff, but that's what they know that I like. Once I know what they like about me, now I can say, okay, if you like 90s and 2000s R&B mix or 90s and 2000s hip hop mix, what does that apply to? Brunch. Those are brunch vibes. So I have a Saturday brunch and I use my social media to tell everyone I have a Saturday brunch. And my YouTube channel becomes my example, becomes my sampler. Oh, wow. I listened to his mix I wonder how his Saturday brunch is. Okay. And I'll go here, share this tab. And if I don't do it, then I need to do it. Okay. So you see up here where it says this resident DJ. I'm probably going to change this, not right now, but I'm going to change this to mention uh my Saturday brunch. I have on here hot topics and music and marketing tips. It's a wasted real estate because no one's coming here for my hot topics and my music marketing tips. Some people are, but majority of the people are coming for my Saturday brunch vibes. So it would be smarter for me in my description to just say Saturday brunches, Taco Tuesday, uh, Saturday brunch, Taco Tuesday, and Friday hype. Okay. And that way, when people come here and they see my channel, they're like, okay, yes, he's a resident DJ, he's a radio host, he's a music producer, and can, um, the way I can give him money is by going to one of his brunches, Taco Tuesday or Friday hype. Okay, I have my website on here, but sometimes it just makes it simpler just to put that information right there so they understand. Now they're motivated to say, huh, okay, when is the Saturday brunch? Because right now, the way I have it, it just looks like, okay, well, he's got some mixes, but only thing I can do is just listen to his mixes on YouTube. That's only thing I can do is just listen to it. I mean, they're pretty much not going to go through all my links to figure out that I have a Saturday brunch or a Taco Tuesday. They're not going to figure that out because I haven't even mentioned it. And the things I have mentioned, they're just not interested in. So that's just an example of how I'm able to take my channel, okay, and show you how I make money. Okay. Now, let me do this. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to what? What am I going to talk about? My Saturday brunch. Okay. We got the DJ Mad Scientist Saturday brunch and day party at the world famous Agave Kitchen and Tequila Bar in downtown Long Beach. That's Saturday from 12 p.m. until 5 p.m. Celebrate your birthday party, girls do brunch, family reunion, foodies brunch, or whatever you want to call it. Go to Eventbrite or hit me up on IG for details and reservations. My IG is @DaMadScience, @DaMadScience. That's DAMADD Science. Okay, that's the Mad Scientist Saturday brunch and day party every Saturday from 12 p.m. until 5 p.m. at Agave Kitchen and Tequila Bar located at 200 Pine Avenue in downtown Long Beach. All right. So that right there is an example how I make money using my social media. Okay. Now, I could in my previous videos, I've showed you how to spend money on there. Um, I have my events and what I use TikTok for because TikTok is a search engine for things to do. So I will post things in there. And I'll be honest with you, I stopped spending money on TikTok primarily because I don't know what's going to happen with that app. Okay, I don't know who the new ownership's going to be. I know the president has been giving them extensions to sell, but eventually those extensions are going to run out. At the same time, um, I don't know who the new ownership is going to be. I know with Twitter, that's now X, it's almost I'm still on there, but it's almost like it's it, it's so different. Okay. I'm not gonna say it's good or bad, I'm just gonna say X is different than Twitter. Okay. There's not a lot of conversation on there that is music related. It's just more like the music stuff that I see is more like it's just more like people just putting up there like, oh, I got a record out, I got this out, I got that out. Every now and then you'll get Cardi B and she'll rant. Okay. Um, there's not really a lot of discussion on X outside of politics. And I'm not a politician, I'm a DJ, right? So therefore, I don't know what's going to happen with TikTok. Now, in terms of making money, what I'm learning to do is create video content, short form video content. So I'm qualified on TikTok to sell things and get a commission as long as I use it. So if I wanted to, I haven't done it yet, but if I wanted to, I could make small videos or short videos, post them on, and I may go ahead and do that. I have some time today that I could just kind of experiment with that and then tell you guys how it went. So I think I may, when I'm finished recording this, I'm going to make a short video because there is one product that I use that's available on TikTok, and I'm going to talk about it, and then I'll see how it works out. Okay, I just don't want to spend money on TikTok primarily because I don't know what's going to happen to it in the future. Now, but when I was spending money, I was telling it, okay, look, um, get views, get people to see it on all these social media apps. The way to get away from having to do shock, and this is very related to what the clips did. The best way to get away from the shock is just go ahead and spend money on promotion within the app. Okay, you don't want to waste money trying to get people to go away from the app because the app does not want you to provide content that makes people go away from the app. I provide content that makes people want to stay. So they're gonna on my YouTube channel, they're gonna stay there for at least an hour, maybe 6 hours, because I think 6 1 hour videos. So maybe 6 hours they'll stay on YouTube. That's what YouTube likes. That's what YouTube wants. Okay. So you create content that will make people stay on the app. So for my TikTok, I know it's a search engine for things to do. Okay. I know that um it's a app for places to go. So I create content that shows you things to do, places to go. What places do I want people to go to? My Saturday brunch, my Taco Tuesday, and my Friday hype. So that's the content that I put on there. I don't waste time putting content that's not going to cater to why people go to the app. Okay. Now I know that people go there for news, but I'm not a news organization. I'm a DJ. Okay. Um, I'm going to focus on providing people what it is they want. Search for things to do. You want something to do? You're in Long Beach, Friday night hype, Saturday brunch, Taco Tuesday. Okay. So that's what I do. And I don't create content that makes people say, let me go away. Like I don't create content that says, hey, I got a YouTube channel. Okay. If I'm on TikTok, it's all about TikTok. I also, on my Friday night hype, I'm also doing a live DJ set for an hour. Okay. So I'll go live for an hour every Friday night. I make people stay. Now, if I were still spending money, then I would spend money. And when I talk about spend money, we're talking about 5, 10, $20. If I spend $20, that's a lot. Okay. On TikTok. Mostly what I spend is $5 or $10. I may do it tonight just out of curiosity. Um, but I will at most $10. At the very most tip top, $20. That's it. So we're not talking about a large sum of money. Okay. But the most important thing is I'm going to create content that's going to make them stay. And I'm going to create content that is relevant to what the social media app is providing to its customer base. When we're talking about TikTok, when we're talking about Instagram, when people go to Instagram, it's like a visual, it's a visual business card. Okay. That's all it is a visual business card. So when I spend money on Instagram, I'm going to give people a visual business card. I'm going to show on my main grid pictures of who? Me. Nobody wants to see, I am more than a flyer. So if you look at your Instagram and you got like tons and tons of flyers, take them off. Nobody ever wants to see that. Okay. Nobody wants to, ooh, I can't wait to see this great flyer. There was a time where people wanted to see flyers, they wanted to see posters. It was artwork. Those days are over. What they want to see is my authentic self, me. They want to see a picture of me. Okay. They want to see my face. How do I look? How do I look when I smile? And they want to see me being what it is I do. They don't want to see me watching TV. They don't want to see me going to the movies. They want to see me DJing because I'm a DJ. Okay. So if you go to my Instagram, you'll see pictures of me in party scenes, in DJs. Now, my reels, which Instagram really, really likes reels, I will give them examples. So I have very short clips. Most of them are like between 15 and 30 seconds of my parties. You get to see what they look like. And they're not glossy, pre-made, you know, uh movie like ready clips. No, it's just I'm there. I take, maybe at the Saturday brunch, girls are dancing. I take a clip of them, a video clip of them dancing. I put some music behind it. Boom. People are like, oh, wow, that's what happens at his show. If I had a bunch of really modelistic females going in slow motion and all, they're not going to feel like it's real. They're going to be like, oh man, he made that up. It's not real. So I give them a real representation of what it happens at my Friday night hypes, Taco Tuesdays, and Saturday brunches. And in order to get more views, I I pay Instagram, and most of the time it's like $5, $10, right? And it'll get thousands of views, right? A lot of likes, and people are like, oh, so that's mad scientist. That's what he does. It's my visual business card. Okay. So we got like 2 more minutes. I'm gonna wrap this up. Before I do, I kind of wanted to show you guys one more thing. Um, hold on. Gotcha. Okay. Wanted to show you guys one more thing. All right. Now I talked about my merch, and I do have some really, really great merch. Okay. I myself have got to start wearing it. My manager's like, yo, you can't expect people to like buy the stuff. And I do buy it. It's just what happens is I usually give it away. That's what happens. So um I need to stop giving it away, just start wearing it. So I'm gonna order some stuff. I'm gonna get a beanie because winter is coming right around the corner. And I'm gonna get me some more t-shirts, and I'm gonna get me a hoodie. Um, so I'm probably gonna spend about $100 myself. But I would say, check it out. I have stuff for females and men. Okay, different colors, a lot of different colors, and everything is pretty much really, really not expensive at all. Like the t-shirts are between $20 and $25, and $25 is for the extra extra large, right? So for most people, it's going to be $20 for a t-shirt, and it's really, really great designs. Okay. I have one for my Saturday brunch. I have logo T-shirts, and then I have my old school T-shirts. These are the ones that my old school T-shirts are the ones that when I first started, and I really know what I was doing, right? And but I've gotten a lot better, and I'm gonna go ahead and design some more. I'm gonna get some more designs. But yeah, if you have a chance, go to my Mad Scientist website, madscientistmusic.com, and look at it, check it out. You might get the backpack. Um, if you're a DJ, get the backpack. It's my one of my dreams to to have, they have the skater shop and they have the record store. I want to have a DJ store or DJ shop, where if you're a DJ, you go in and you get DJ related stuff. So you get DJ related like t-shirts, you get DJ related, backpacks and equipment, and that's one of my dreams. So I've really got to learn how to start selling merch because that's one of the things I want to be able to do. Um, you know, I would say in 2026, I'm going to learn how to do that. Okay. All right. So, like I said, just kind of recap. Um, what we're doing is I'm showing you how I generate money using my social media. Okay. It's one thing to have the social media, but it's another thing to be able to make money. Okay. If you were to ask me right now how much money I make annually as a DJ out here in the Los Angeles area, um, I make about 50,000 per year. Um, how can I like live off of that? 'Cause I'm also a real estate agent, so I make way more money. But I bring in about 50,000 from, it could be somewhere between 40 and 50,000, okay, depending on the month. Um, Generally the out here in California, the after October, from like November, December, January, it's slow. So that's why yes, I am going to practice on the affiliate marketing in TikTok. Maybe I can make some more money there. And then I'm going to start learning how to sell t-shirts. I take my manager's advice and learn how to sell these t-shirts, okay? Um, but it can be done. It can be done. You just have to put in the time and have the correct understanding, and you can do it. But the most important thing that I would want to stress to you is just learn how to be authentically yourself. Don't go out there trying to be something that you're not, because at this point in time, trying to shock people into liking you is just going to be a matter of you know playing yourself in some kind of way. And we have two examples with Little Yachty, seems like a nice person, and we have another example of Tyler, who seems like a really sweet person. I don't, I know people think she's a little like elitist. I don't think it's that. I have friends who are not Americans, they're immigrants and people from other countries. They have different kind of mannerisms. And sometimes as Americans, you know, we kind of feel like everyone should act like us. Okay. Everybody's not going to act like us. And I know with black people, we tend to think like, oh, we're all black, right? And we are all black genetically, but we all have different mannerisms. And I think that, you know, I kind of I don't blame her per se because she's young. I blame the people who are handling her, who did not allow her to just be herself. She seems super smart. I think she probably could have explained everything in like one interview. But just let her explain it. Like she's not going to say anything stupid. She might say something wrong, but she's not going to say anything stupid. And people will forgive you for being wrong, right? As long as you're just being authentic. Okay. All right. This is DJ Mad Scientist, and you are listening to Power 975 LA. If you want to catch my show, I'm on Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Power 975 LA on the iGlobal Radio app. I'm also here every Friday on my YouTube channel.